To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So I got a stern warning the other day that the townspeople are gonna really come after me if I don't start being nicer to the old people in this town. Of course, I live outside of town. Town's about a few miles away from me. But in order to explain this, I need to give you a little bit of history. As I'm sure you know by now, I've been working really hard this year. This is our first year on our off-grid property to get 15 cords of firewood. I think I got 7 or 8 cords already. I haven't measured it in a while. And I want to get 15 cords so I can have plenty for if I ever get hurt and I can't cut wood, and for my retirement. So when I'm old, I don't have to cut a lot of firewood. That also means that in my future years here, I won't have to work as hard either if I just replace the cord that I use each year. I plan on using 1 cord. Well, I've been working really hard not to have to cut my property down, wood from my property. It's very pretty and I want to keep it that way. My plan is never to use any more than 3 trees a year. That would be 1 cord. But if I can get away with not cutting any, then that would be even better. So I've been trying to get trees that have fallen down outside of here. So my first attempt at this was this wood right here. This is poplar wood, and it came from a trailer park down the road from us. I don't know, 4 or 5 miles. It was 2 trees that had fallen down. They were still alive. It had leaned over, but the roots were still under the dirt. And I got, I think, 2 cords out of that, 1.5 cords, 2 cords. Now poplar wood burns very fast, so that can't be really considered as 2 cords. It's probably more like 1 cord of oak. The BTUs are half of what oak is. So all my calculations have been from BTUs for oak. So 25 million, I think it's 25, don't quote me on this, it's been a long time since I looked it up. But you get 25 million BTUs from 1 cord of oak, whereas you get like 12 BTUs from 1 cord of poplar. Well, then my next attempt was to talk to my neighbors. And one of my neighbors said I could have all the deadfall in his woods. So that's a great deal. I don't know how much is back there. But he also has 3 trees up here that are dead that I want to get this year. They're oak trees. Now, there's a disease, I can tell there's a disease around here. It's called oak wilt. And it's pretty devastating to oak trees. It's a fungus is what it is. I got to be careful here. I'm walking in high weeds and I don't want to get bit by new baby copperheads. They're coming out this time of the year. There's 3 of them just right alongside the road here on his property. Got this one here, and you can see it just died this year, but it's already looking pretty sad. And then there's another one right behind it, right there, and then just one right into the wood line here. So I went up and asked him if I could have them. He said, oh, sure. I got to get them this fall. I can't cut them right now. 1, because of the snakes and ticks, but 2, I don't want to spread that oak wilt. Oak wilt is spread by two ways. 1, beetles can spread it. They'll eat, through a hole in the tree, and then they'll go to another tree and eat it. Eat into the new tree, and that's the second way is when the roots touch each other. So I want to get it this fall after the beetles kind of die down a little bit, hibernate or whatever. That way I don't just rush the beetles out into a new tree and then, I have these problems with these oak trees later. I probably will have a problem with them eventually. There's one across the street that's in bad shape. I'm doomed to get it, but I'm going to try to prevent it. Also, you want to get it before February of next year. They say if you get it when it's still fresh, I guess the water in the trees kind of hold that fungus in place. But after that, it dries up, I guess. So this is kind of what I'm assuming. And then it can spread just through the air. Well, then I went and talked to my other neighbor, and he had 3 trees also. Guess what they got? Oak wilt. So I asked him if I could have his trees. And initially he said yes, but he doesn't own the property. His son does. He lives on the property. He takes care of it. Long story. I don't even want to get into it. It's his business, not mine. So initially the neighbor said, yeah, I could have the trees. His son said, I don't think we want him on the property cutting down trees. If he hurts himself, he could sue us, those kind of things. And yeah, totally understand. I was not upset. He came over and said, I really apologize for giving you permission and then having to take it away. No big deal. So I lost those 3 trees. No big deal. Well, then after I asked about these 3 trees up here that I just showed you, Carolyn and I were driving around town, which is just down the road from us, and we found this tree. Found it, I think, in June, and it had blown over. It's a huge monster tree. I mean, it's massive, bigger than my chainsaw. You can see a couple of these. That there is probably bigger than my biggest chainsaw. It's huge. And so I had to find out how I could actually get it. This is a city park in an unincorporated town. In 2015, the town voted to unincorporate it. That means there's no mayor, city council, or anything like that, no taxes. So my first attempt was I called the county, and the county basically told me to go ahead and get it, even though they didn't have the authority to tell me to get it. Nobody owns this. It's just kind of abandoned, I guess. Well, the townspeople take care of this place. You know, there's a guy who cuts the grass. So I actually saw the guy cutting the grass, and I asked him, you know, who's going to cut that tree? Anybody going to take it? And he says, nah, if I was younger, I'd get it, but if you want it, go ahead. First come, first serve. I didn't just stop there. I went ahead and asked around some more, and there's a gal at the gas station, young gal. She has lived here all her life. She's very nice to us. Every time we come in, she stops and talks to us for 15 minutes. And I asked her about it. I said, is there any reason why I can't get that tree? And she said, oh no, my husband would get it, but he's hurt his shoulder and he can't use the saw anymore. She said, I'd appreciate it if you got it. Help keep the park looking nice. And it is, it's a very nice park. Over here you can, I don't know, see a pavilion. Townspeople take care of it. There's a playground equipment. Of course, it's very old. Last month, I started cutting the tree. Nobody else was getting it, hadn't been touched. So I cut it for several weeks. And what I was doing was I was waiting every 3 days. I'd get one truckload every 3 days. And that way, if anybody else wanted it, it wasn't like I was being greedy. You know, I didn't come down and I'll get it all in one day. Well, I don't know, after 2 or 3 weeks of that, a guy about my age comes over here, stops me, and just starts cussing up a storm. He's angry. Not necessarily at me, but just in general, he's angry. He said, you know, the guy up the hill here, he was supposed to cut it for me, and he never got to it, and now you're cutting it, and he's just bleeping, you know, bleep, 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 bleep. He says, I can't get it because my chainsaw chain is broken. I don't have the money to get a new chain. I'm thinking, man, 20 bucks? You can't afford 20 bucks. There's $800 worth of wood there, and you can't afford 20 bucks. But, you know, I didn't say anything. And so I tried to explain to the guy that I was coming down every 3 days, cut it, give him plenty of time to get it. Well, I don't know how you expect me to get those bigger pieces. I said, I'll tell you what to do. I'll wait 6 days. I won't wait 3, I'll wait 6 days. That'll give you a chance to get your chainsaw chain. So I waited the 6 days, came back down, hadn't been touched, got my truckload. 3 days later, I did the same thing, come back down, got my truckload. And the wife shows up, his wife, and she says, I thought my husband told you that we needed that tree. And I said, you mean the guy that cussed me out? Well, I understand he can be kind of rough sometimes, but we need that tree and you need to stop. And she just gave me the riot act. And she said, and he's just too old to get those bigger pieces. Well, you know, he's my age, but she was kind of young. So I guess from perspective, he is old. I mean, you know, after he cussed me out, I forgot to mention this, after he cussed me out, I went back up to the gas station lady and I explained to her what had happened. She said, don't worry about him. He's just a grumpy old man. Again, perspective, she's young. She probably thinks I'm old too. So in that video, I decided that I was just going to stop cutting the tree and wait until December, January, February. And that way that gives them plenty of time to get it. They need to be getting it now, and it's actually probably too late to get it. You know, oak, that's a big old tree. Oak needs a year or 2 to cure, and that's what I'm doing. Cutting it up, letting it sit, next year I'll use it. So if he's trying to use it this year, it's not going to be worth a darn anyways. He's not going to get much heat out of it. You use so much energy trying to dry out the wood with the fire. So I thought, I'll come back down in December, January, February, and get the rest of the tree if it's still here. Well, as you just saw, it's still there, and I've waited, what, 2 weeks now? And he hasn't touched it. Well, when I made the video, a lot of people thought I was a very mean person. That I should take care of the old people. I should go and cut it up and take it over to his house, drop it off for him, split it for him. One person even said I need to give him cured wood. Well, I don't even have cured wood. I got a lot of firewood, but it's not completely cured. It's been only sitting there for about 6 months. So I'm still going to have problems with my firewood this year. I'm supposed to give up stuff that I've sat on for 6 months so I can have something for myself for this winter. But I was really chewed out how I'm so mean to old people. Because the gal, his wife, said he's too old to get himself. Everybody thought he was a senior citizen. He's not a senior citizen. He should be totally capable of getting it. But I can make a lot of assumptions. But if you can't afford a $20 chainsaw blade, then you've got more serious problems than trying to get that firewood. Secondly, I believe respect is earned, not given. If he wants my respect and if he wants me to help him, then he shouldn't have come down and cussed me out. Look, I know there's going to be people that disagree with me on this, but I have some values of my own. You don't go around cussing people out and then expect good favors. So I hope I can encourage everybody to make sure that they have all the facts before they judge people. And secondly, that we all just try to get along. Thanks for watching.